Колеги, ми продовжуємо.
Dear colleagues, we continue our working day. We will talk about the operations and activities of the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine, and we have Mr. Alexander Hag on Skype. He is the Principal Deputy Chief Monitor.
Dear friends, today I'm briefing you from Luhansk City. We continue to note a high but mostly an overall stable number of ceasefire violations. The number of SMM recorded explosions caused by Minsk-prescribed weapons, namely tanks, mortar, artillery, including multiple launch rocket systems, rose slightly last week to 404 compared to 322 the previous week. In some respect, these figures are cause for limited optimism. Some areas show positive developments, like Horlivka, where we have recorded 60% fewer ceasefire violations and no explosions from Minsk-prescribed weapons last week. A word of caution about these figures, however, since the fatal incident of 23rd April, in which one of our colleagues was killed and two injured, we have to have restricting our patrolling. Until the sites remove the threats to our monitors through demining or marking and fencing off mines, we will be unable to resume our usual patrolling posture, and as such will be unable to give a complete picture. We in the OSCE SMM have imposed these restrictions. Given the threats and our obligation to protect our monitors, we have no other option. But only the sites can lift these restrictions. Only the sites can comply with their obligations to remove mines or at the minimum fence off or mark them. The sites have already promised to do so. They must make good on these promises now. They must do it now. No more excuses, no more delays. Other areas along the contact line have been far more violent than Horlivka. 75% of all explosions from Minsk-prescribed weapons along the contact line last week were recorded in the Svetlodarsk area. In total, we recorded 245 explosions from mortars, 57 from artillery, and 11 from tanks in that area. The 1st of May was particularly violent in the Svetlodarsk area. That day we recorded 48 artillery and almost 180 mortar impacts in the southeastern outskirts of that town. Overall, the number of recorded ceasefire violations in the area rose by 45% compared to the previous week. And remember, this increased number of recorded violations is in spite of restricted patrolling we have been forced to impose because the sites have failed to demine. Also of worry has been the use of multiple launch rocket systems. We recorded their use on 2 occasions in the Avdiivka-Yassinovata Donetsk airport area on the 1st and 4th of May, and once in the Popasna-Troitsky-Pervomaisk area on the 1st of May. The use of indiscriminate weapons, combined with the posture and positions adopted by the sites, risks escalations and the spread of the conflict. In such circumstances, in areas that are currently relatively calm, such as Horlivka, violence is just one provocation away. Positioned in some places just a few meters apart, the smallest provocation can mean escalation. With weapons at hand, in violation of the withdrawal regime, there is no telling how far this escalation will extend. On Tuesday evening, close to Svetlodarsk, we saw what escalation looks like. In just over 4 hours, our monitors recorded more than 230 artillery explosions. Dear friends, every shot fired, and particularly every explosion, is a direct threat to civilians living in Donbass, including the unarmed civilian monitors of the OSCE SMM. Last week, the SMM confirmed 20 civilian casualties, including 1 fatality. That brings the number of SMM confirmed casualties this year up to 191, 156 injured and 35 killed. Dear friends, 3 weeks ago, 3 of our colleagues in the OSCE SMM were counted among the casualties. 1 of them was killed and 2 others were injured when their vehicle hit what was most probably a mine in Prship in Luhansk region. The attack was foremost an attack on the 3 individuals in the vehicle. But it was on a wider level an attack on the entire OSCE SMM, the Minsk agreements we are here to monitor and verify, and even on the 57 OSCE participating states at whose behest we are here. Efforts aimed at intimidation continue unabated. Last week, OSCE SMM monitors were threatened by armed men on a number of occasions. In one particular instance, in non-government controlled Petrivske, 1 man armed with an assault rifle went so far as to sexually harass a female member of a patrol. Dear friends, abuse of any kind is bad, but the response, or the lack thereof, can be even worse. The incident in Petrivske is symptomatic of a wider problem. The response to the incident from those in position of control is typical and telling: total silence and inaction. There has been no response from the so-called DPR. This man has not been held to account. This inaction and silence reflects an approach to all manner of abuse and violations. When our UAVs are jammed and downed, there is no response. Essentially, those committing these violations are encouraged to do so. Without censor, there is impunity and encouragement to continue as before. The same applies all across the board. When Minsk-prescribed weapons are present in violation of the Minsk agreement, no one in power does anything to remedy this. When these weapons are fired, as we see every day, no one in power does anything. Their silence says it all. Dear friends, impunity breeds contempt. Sexual harassment must not go unpunished. Breaches of the Minsk agreements must not go unpunished. The murder of civilians, whether in their homes or fields or on patrol with the OSCE SMM, must not go unpunished. The people of Eastern Ukraine deserve nothing less. As usual, at the end of the statement here, I would like to inform you about the latest mission numbers. As of today, the mission has 653 monitors, of whom 572 are deployed to the east. In addition, there are 344 Ukrainian colleagues and 87 other international staff working for the SMM. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. So now we open the floor for questions, if any. Колеги, чи є запитання? Прошу представлятися.
Good afternoon. My name is Elena, and I'm journalist of IRTA channel. And I have a question regarding the incident on explosion of the OSCE SMM vehicle. Do you have any information who is guilty which side is guilty, and and other conclusions that you have drawn, and what was the situation on commemoration of 9th of May in Lugansk, whether you recorded any calm situation on that day or there were any kind of provocation escalations there. Thank you.
First of all, the available information that the mission has already been made public and is available on our website through our reporting or then through our public statements that have been issued since the 23rd of April. As we speak here, there are several processes ongoing that includes an internal investigation independently into the incident, and the chair of the OSCE has tasked the OSCE Secretary General to prepare for a forensic examination of the incident. It would be inappropriate if I would comment and speculate here as to any further details of these processes. The OSCE, however, will make sure that once results will become available, they will be made public. With regard to the events of the 9th of May, I would like to draw your attention to our public reporting. We have been documenting ceasefire violations across the contact line, as well as weapons in violations both in Donetsk city and Luhansk city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hook. There is one more question.
Crimean News, and the question relates to the following. The military parades in Lugansk and Donetsk, the heavy weapons that were deployed to be involved in military parades in violation of the Minsk agreements. Can you confirm that these heavy weapons has been deployed back to the permanent storage sites as it was informed by the DPR and LPR members?
Mission is monitoring the implementation of the Minsk agreements, and these agreements do not foresee any exception for weapons to be removed from storage sites, and therefore the mission will continue to monitor the implementation of these agreements, which, and I repeat, do not contain any exceptional rule for any removal or putting back weapons into the areas where they shouldn't be.
Чи можете ви підтвердити, що техніку після парадів від...
Can you confirm that the heavy weapons after the military parades have been deployed back to the permanent storage sites as where those weapons should be placed?
There are no provisions in the Minsk agreements to take these weapons out from the storage sites. We will continue to monitor the storage sites, and the results of our monitoring activity will be made public in our daily reports on our website, available in English, Ukrainian and Russian languages.
Дякую. І ще одне запитання.
Thank you. One more question. Can you comment in more detail on the use of UAVs after the tragic incident in Prishep? As far as I understand, currently the mission neither deploy middle nor long-range UAVs. And do you have any timing for resuming the flights of middle and long-range UAVs?
In certain areas, the deployment of UAVs is difficult. We are currently reassessing the modus operandi of using these assets. At the same time, I can confirm that we continue to use mini UAVs, and both of them deliver results that are visible in our reporting. I have to emphasize that these restrictions had become necessary because the sites have failed to live up to their promises, and it is now up to the sites to ensure that we can go back to use our patrolling capacities and our assets in full.
Колеги, чи будуть ще запитання? So we have no further questions. On this note, we end the press briefing. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Goodbye.